Donald Trump has swiftly acted on his election pledge for a nationwide immigration crackdown with nearly 1,000 arrests on Sunday alone. He's not messing around. They're sorting this out. The raids, though, have sparked outrage from liberals and celebrities, including Selena Gomez, who posted, then deleted, a tearful video online.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Yeah, you can do something. Get in the bin. It's prompted this response from Trump's border czar. This is Tom Homan.
The Hollywood celebrity who posted it has now deleted it, I think because probably she faced a lot of backlash for it, noting even the New York Times and Fox News polls show that a majority of American respondents are in favor of deportations of criminals and gang members. She posted a video sobbing. She was crying in it. She said, "All my people are getting attacked," with the picture of a Mexican flag. Again, she has now taken that down. But what do you say to those who are out there saying that these are everyday people, these are families that are being attacked and dragged out of their homes? How do you respond to that?
I don't think we arrested any families. We've arrested public safety threats and national security threats, bottom line. And look, President Trump won the election on this one issue, securing our border and saving lives.
There it is. I think he was being rather kind there, Mr. Homan. Let's speak with Michael Graham, Managing Editor, Inside Sources, US political commentator, Washington, D.C.'s finest over there on Capitol Hill. Michael, good afternoon to you. I hope we've got you at a time when you're not feeling too emotional, having had to re-watch, I don't know, for the 1,000th time, the Selena Gomez clip. It's a very emotional, troubling scene to see a A-list celebrity bawling their eyes out.
Yeah, particularly because I love the show No Only Murders in the Building. She's actually great in the show.
There it is.
So I'm a big fan. She also has, my wife told me as we were watching this, and I was horrified, a struggle with bipolar. Tom Homan lays out the common sense view, which is, do you really want to cry over people who have literally have been convicted, not suspected, convicted of rape, of murder? We had repeated incidents in Massachusetts at a shelter. 2 different people who molested disabled girls. One of them a minor, one of them an adult. I mean, I'm sorry, nobody in America feels sorry for these people. And also, just to update the polling number, it's not just that people overwhelmingly want to see illegal immigrants who've been convicted of crimes deported. Americans said in the most recent polls that a majority support mass deportations, period. In other words, you're here illegally, you just get deported. And one of the things that's hurting Democrats is the media is so dominated in the U.S. by younger, not too bright people who don't understand the issue that they're going on TV and writing, "Oh my gosh, there are people being deported who are just here illegally." Yeah.
Yep.
That's called immigration. I mean, look, if I go to whatever, Austria, if I go to Chile and my visa runs out, you know what happens? They deport me. This is normal. This is like saying, "Oh my gosh, I got a speeding ticket and all I was doing was driving faster than the speed limit."
Yeah, I mean, I've
okay.
lost count over the years of how many Americans, Australians, New Zealanders I have worked with, young guys who are coming to the end of their visa who have said, "Look, I don't qualify any longer. I've got to go back." And so they've gone back. There is nothing else. They've reached the end of the road. They've made all the arguments. And for whatever reason, they're in a job that can't be justified because an indigenous person could take it. All of those things happens in all of our countries. So they've gone, that's it now. They don't know any that just said, "I'm going to stay here."
So let me ask you, in Great Britain's ongoing debate about people coming across the channel and the folks in North Africa, et cetera, are you hearing the argument that anti-immigration enforcement people are making here, which is, well, if you deport a man, he's got children who are here in the U.S., and so you're breaking up families, therefore you shouldn't deport them. Is that argument playing out there?
100%. And we hear it. There was a story I was reading at the weekend as well about a guy who carried out the most horrendous set of crimes, but had been able to stay because the human rights thing says you can hang around if you've got a right to. Well, it's enshrined in under the category if you've got a right to family life, even if you are a sadistic killer.
So this is what I don't understand. If I didn't pay my taxes, which, by the way, I know you're monitoring this AI government. I am paying my taxes. But if I didn't and I were arrested and put in jail, no one would say, what about Michael's 4 children? What's going to happen to the 4? They would say, you committed a crime, you go to jail.
Yes.
Citizens do not get this consideration. And this is why, yet again, Democrats are losing this fight. There's a running gag in the U.S. I don't want special treatment. Just treat me like an illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
Because you will get treatment that you would not get as a citizen. And so Trump, a new poll came out this morning. He has the highest approval rating from Morning Consult, which is a national polling firm, he's ever had, I think, since taking office back in 2017. The American people right now like the things that they're seeing and hearing because the Trump administration very intelligently is taking cameras along as they arrest these people who are, once again, convicted criminals and illegal immigrants.
Yeah. And so it can be seen that it's all out there. There's nothing covert. Nobody's getting a kick in the head as they do this. It's all done properly. This was the story, by the way, Michael, which ticks a couple of the boxes that I was looking at the weekend. A foreign rapist who Britain has been unable to deport has won substantial compensation for unlawful detention. This fella from Gambia tricked a drunken woman into going back to his flat in Watford before attacking her in the bathroom. He targeted her. She was thrown out of a nightclub. He followed her, targeted her. He was jailed for 6 years over the attack. He came in 2004 on a 6-month visa. He was arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting another woman. He denied that accusation. They couldn't prove that one. But in the event, because they were going to deport him, he's mounted 6 legal attempts against his deportation, including pleas over his mental health and possibility of facing harm in his home country. That's a classic one, you know. Where's your home country? Well, it's France. No one's going to beat you up in France. Don't worry, mate. But this guy was returned to jail after breaching terms of his tagging licence, and he was held in an immigration removal centre ready to go. And that's where the problem started, because the lawyers jumped in, and there's enough of those guys, the same in the States, who said he should not have been placed in the centre because at the time it was unlikely that the Home Office would be able to return him to Gambia. So as a result, he's received substantial compensation for his inconvenience. I mean, you can't write this stuff. If you put it in the House of Cards or some other show, people would go, that would never happen.
Now, I will say that I would feel guilty about deporting someone back to France. I mean, that's kind of mean. I mean, if you escape France, you know, good on you, man.
Yes, indeed, yes. If Pierre is able to make it here, we'll look after him.
Right. And so across the board for Trump, whether it's illegal immigration or whether it's DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion stuff, Trump is kind of maintaining this. What do normal people think? And what normal people think is when you're going to serve on the front lines of the military and your job is to carry a pack, shoot people, and drag away your wounded friends, it doesn't matter what you look like or if you're equitable. It matters, can you carry the pack, shoot the gun, and carry your friends?
Yeah.
And you know, declaring yourself transgender, look, whether you were born male or female, can you do it? And that's why he's winning that fight. On the jail side, we found out this week, and once again, President Biden could have done something about this in the time of the past 4 years. 15% of the women in women's prison, of the prisoners in women federal prisons in the U.S. federal, are guys who are claiming to be women.
15% guys who are going, yeah.
I thought it was like 15, you know what I mean? I thought it was like some fringe, whatever. No,
yeah. 15%.
Because they figured it out. Hey, I can go to the women's prison. It's a lot easier on me. I can maybe hook up. And sure enough, they have a problem with pregnancy in the. How are women getting pregnant in prison? Because the woman in the cell next to them is Phil. That's why.
That's exactly.
You know? And so this is, so once again, when Trump says this is stupid and what the hell are you thinking? Normal people go, I agree. And every time the New York Times or a U.S. senator or somebody stands up and says, we must stop this, normal people go, I agree Trump's a jerk. I don't like how he talks. Some of the stuff he says is crazy. But you're nuts if you're fighting this. And right now, that's what he's got Democrats doing, is fighting things that are popular.
Well, you're right. We had it here. It happened. There was a couple of cases, but the most high-profile one was in Scotland, where a man was in court charged with rape. Halfway through his case, he said, I'm not a man anymore. I'm a woman. And he decided, because he thought, well, you know, I'm going to go to jail. I might as well go to one where there's women there. And they went, absolutely right. And then he was referred to, I mean, this is the bit that even got me. He was referred to for the remainder of his own court case as a female. Even newspapers who roll over because of their DEI credentials, we'll come back to that in a second, we're referring to, you know, she decided she did, we're quit with the she stuff. You know, this is a bloke, and it looked like a bloke. I think he had a beard as well, and was originally going to go into a woman's prison, and may have gone into one for a bit, but it was overturned in the end. I mentioned DEI there. Again, this is another area that Trump is looking at, certainly in government spheres. He's getting rid of all this stuff.
Yeah, that's right. He's sent out an order. The Biden administration was very aggressive about it. The Biden administration tried to change the definition of female so that biological males could play on girls' sports at athletic teams. That failed because, shockingly, the president doesn't have the power to magically redefine sex. And so Trump's going the other way, and he's told, not only has he said, we're ending federal DEI programs, he's sent out a warning. If you are trying to cover this up, you're changing it from DEI to whatever, JFK, so giving it a new name and doing the same thing. If you are aware that your department is still practicing DEI practices, you could find yourself in jeopardy as far as keeping your job. They're being very aggressive about it. And once again, lots of Democrats are complaining. And there are civil service protections. Once you get a government job at a certain point, you can't simply be fired because a new government comes in. There's two classes of jobs. And by the way, having had one of those government jobs, political jobs back in the day, I understood. I worked for the guy I helped get elected. If he wanted to fire me, that was totally cool. While there were other people who had more, day-to-day doing the business jobs. So
Sure.
you do have two categories. But what the Trump people are arguing is they have put way too many jobs behind that protective firewall. And now you've got people who are longtime Democrats. They have hated Trump for 10 years, and he's trying to get them out of their jobs. So that's going to be another fight you hear a lot about from here in the U.S.
What is the distinction? Obviously, there's federal laws, the state laws, etc. How does all of this trickle down to the state? I mean, when he makes an executive order, does that have to go? Is that across the board? Could different states go? Well,
it's just we have a Social Security office, in every major city, whatever. That's a federal job. You work for Trump. It applies to you. But downstairs, there might be a state Medicaid office that distributes state stuff. They're not directly affected. But what Trump is doing is is threatening to do is, and by the way, he's done so many executive orders. If I get this wrong, I apologize. But there's like 5,000 of them. I'm trying to keep track. But you can attach federal money. That's what Biden did. Biden said, look, if you get federal money for your university, you have to let guys play on girls' teams. And so Trump is using federal, money the same way.
Yeah.
But it just applies to federal government when it's an executive order. He can't, for example, force the state of California to change its water usage rules that he argues have, and many people agree, have cut the supply of water around the state. But what he can do is say, if you're going to get federal dollars for projects, you have to change your rules, or you just can pay for it yourself.
Got it. So there's a way around that, as it were.
Or you can pressure. It's just pressure.
Of course.
It's good old-fashioned. Look, what is politics? Politics is it's what we do instead of beat each other up. We
100%.
use other means to fight these battles.
Yeah. Aren't you missing Sleepy Joe a little bit, though? Here we are, a few weeks or a week, 8 days in.
Donald Trump has held more press events in 8 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years.
Yeah.
It's just astonishing. And I've talked to Democrats who even say, I can't believe that guy was president. Yeah. He was so clearly not up to separate from if you think he's good or bad, he just was not up to the job. And you're going to see this also in 2026. The U.S. Senate, as you know, Republicans just took it. Democrats really want to take it back. But they have a couple of problems, one of which is they have some really old candidates running for re-election. And age is now an issue in American politics in a way it's never been in my life, because people saw Biden, they're like, look, I liked Joe. I didn't know he couldn't do the job. I was lied to. In Michigan, a key swing state where they had an incumbent that Democrats were hoping they could hold on to, he just announced he's retiring. He's not going to run again. That's now an open fight. It makes it more likely Republicans will win in a swing state. So Democrats already had an uphill fight to try to take the U.S. Senate back. It's looking even tougher. And the age issue is, despite the fact that Trump is 70, whatever, I forget now, 77, 76, despite his age, he's just so youthful, it doesn't matter. Whereas, you know, you look at Nancy Pelosi on the Democrat side or Mitch McConnell on the Republican side, you're like, holy moly, when they open the mausoleum up and let these people climb out. So that's going to be a problem for Democrats in the U.S. in 2026.
They've got to down the demographic there somewhere. See, if this had been a couple of weeks ago, I could have done my Jimmy Carter standing gag. But,
exactly.
You know, that would just sound a bit off colour now, wouldn't it? Bearing in mind he's left
Yes.
us. But there we are. Listen, great to have you with us, Michael, as ever. Michael Graham, he is the managing editor of Inside Source's US political commentator, our man on Capitol Hill. Thank you to him.